Hello, my name is Jacob Kaler, and I am recording this today for my debate for my global politics class. And I am going to be talking about should the U.S. be involved militarily in the Middle East. So first, what I want to do is kind of go through some of the things that we've learned for this class, like realism and neorealism, and apply them to this situation. So from a realist perspective, we have once again learned power is ambiguous and national character impacts the way that we fight and win wars. The ambiguity of power for the last while that we've been involved in the Middle East, we're fighting primarily people who aren't very well funded, who don't have like a lot of advanced technology, but they're still surviving and fighting back. We haven't like completely annihilated them yet. And national character, a lot of people don't really want the US to be involved anymore in that region. And so that makes it harder to kind of justify, sending more troops and getting more involved. From a neo-realism perspective, we should get out of the Middle East because we're disrupting the natural balance of power, and because it's outside of our sphere of influence. Because the sphere of influence for the U.S. is kind of like the Americas, and we shouldn't really dabble more than we have to outside of there. From a constructivist point of view, the Middle East has been a disaster because we've lost, in a large part, the idea that America's the good guys. Democracy is good. America is like the flag bearer of democracy. We look a lot more like people who are just interested in money and oil. And from a neoliberal standpoint, we shouldn't be fighting. We should be building allies, building connections, integrating our economies, not doing sanctions anymore, but drawing these people in to our economic influence so that they'll be less willing to fight. Um, I think since it's a foreign policy standpoint, we need to really think what are the US's interests in the region. And this is something that has changed a lot because we live in a democracy. So we've had a lot of different leaders with different ideas of how we should be involved in the Middle East and what our goals should be. And so that's part of the reason why we struggle in the Middle East so much, because we have those constantly changing goals. But I think that the U.S. has four interests. We want terrorists to not exist anymore. We want the region to be stable. We want oil to be flowing in abundance, and we want to support our allies. So, first, terrorism has been, for the most part, dealt with. We've seen the destruction of Al Qaeda and ISIS and all those groups for the most part. So, we don't really need troops in that region anymore to stop those terrorists. Um, and in fact, staying in that area longer, we start to generate more ill will towards the U.S., which leads to um, more people potentially being interested in joining terrorism. Stability, obviously, if wars are happening, the region's not very stable. So we don't really. I think we don't really need a large military presence there to ensure stability. Um, we need to have things be as balanced as we can, so that nations aren't super like willing to fight each other because everything is balanced. Oil has been flowing for the last while from the Middle East. The last time that was really in play, I think, was when Kuwait was invaded. So that goal is being met. And finally, supporting allies. This is this area that we've struggled a little bit, obviously, with the Kurds. Um, but for the most part, we want to support the allies there. I think we should just cut our losses with the Kurds because we don't want to get involved in another war in the Middle East, especially with Turkey, who is our ally. Um, so we want to make sure our allies are strong, and we can do that without a significant military presence. All the military presence does is mostly just make people like the US less, because they're seeing our troops and they start blaming us for their problems, which isn't completely inaccurate. So I think because our interests are currently being met in the Middle East, we should do a slow withdrawal so that we make sure we don't disrupt things by withdrawing suddenly, but we withdraw over a period of years and leave some forces in the region with our allies to kind of show like these are our allies and we're serious about protecting them. And that will also contribute to the overall stability of the Middle East. So those are my thoughts, and you are free to disagree with me. Thank you.